Alright guys, it is Kieran from Red Devil Weekly, and I wanted to make a video on Jadon Sancho because I haven't made a video on him on my channel, I don't think. I mean, I may have done, I haven't really looked too extensively, but I don't think I ever made a video about Jadon Sancho at all. And we have been linked to him in the previous transfer windows, January, of course, and the previous summer transfer windows. So I thought right now, especially with all the news circulating, all the clips off Instagram lives and things like that circulating on internet, I thought I'd make a video about it and share my thoughts on all these rumours and whether he'd be the right fit for our club and whether he'd fit in. And also want to get you guys involved as well. So at some point in this stream, I will allow people to come on and have their say live on the stream, similar to a Skype call. But I can give you the link to this Streamlads hangout here, and if you click on the link, you can join and you can be in and interact with me like that and have your say on Jadon Sancho, but not just Jadon Sancho. Because I realise that in these times, there's not a lot to talk about in terms of football, really. Obviously, we're clutching at straws a bit with these, Jadon Sancho rumours, as we usually do, with transfer news at this part of the season. But obviously, in these times, you're talking about anything, and football is kind of on the back burner. So once we've talked a bit about the Jadon Sancho stuff, please do feel free to, ask me any questions about anything, in life, anything at all. We don't have to talk. We don't just have to talk about football. We can talk about anything. So please do feel free to let me know, and also let me know how you're doing as well. How are you guys, faring up with all the kind of isolation and things like that? How are you doing? Basically, is what I want to ask you. TTX on the stream, mate. Thanks for joining. So Sancho, the signing that Man United should put all its eggs in the basket for. Well, I'm going to get onto that in just a second, but TTX obviously they're very, very excited about the prospect of signing Jadon Sancho. And to be fair, a lot of United fans are. And there's good reason to be, because he's I was about to say world-class player. I don't think he's world-class just yet, but he's shown that he's got every bit of potential to become world-class, no question about that. But the rumours circulating today for Bourissia Dortmund, of course, who is probably one of the most reliable tweeters about transfer news and someone who seems to get it right most of the time, or at least only tweets when he knows the information and knows the information to be mostly factual. I mean, I'm sure he's got some transfer stories wrong in the past, but on the whole, he has been very, very good. And what he tweeted today was that Manchester United, or Bourissia Dortmund, I should say, aren't willing to sell Jadon Sancho for anything less than 110 million euros, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's more than we pay for Paul Pogba, more than we pay for Harry Maguire. If Jadon Sancho is the real deal, then I've got no problem with paying it. But the big story is that anything less than 110 million euros, Borussia Dortmund will not entertain the offer unless it is 110 million or higher. And I want to get your thoughts on that. As I give my thoughts on it, do you think 110 million euros is worth it? Realistically, Jadon Sancho, only 20 years old. Yes, he's got a lot of potential, but as of right now, is he realistically worth 110 million euros? Let us know. But for me, I'm a bit skeptical. I've seen a lot of Jadon Sancho, and I think he's a very, very good player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's been one of the shining lights in Europe, one of the best youngsters in world football right now, probably the best English youngster right now. But 110 million euros seems a bit much. It seems a bit excessive. Now, I know that Dortmund are going to push the price up, especially when they know that Manchester United are calling and they know how much he is valued by clubs around Europe, and they know they can get an absolute killing for him. And I think Sancho will leave this summer, and I think if he does leave, it's looking increasingly likely that he'll be to Manchester United. But ultimately, I'm just not sure whether 110 million euros is realistically, worth it for Jadon Sancho. What he has on his side is potential. Now, if he was a ready-made world-class player, 110 million euros probably would be justified. But for someone who's got, loads and loads of potential, but obviously isn't there yet, 110 million euros is very much a gamble. There's no doubt about that. Very much a gamble. Just want to welcome Red Devil Studio and Issa. Thanks for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. Red Devil Studio says, yo, bro, thanks for joining. TTX says, what software do you use? I've got a channel called One United Nation. Oh, right, TTX. I didn't even know that was you, mate. But yeah, I use StreamYard. So basically, if you just type in StreamYard to Google, whatever, it'll come up, the first search that comes up. And yeah, you can do this kind of, stream setup, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. And if you don't know it by now, you can just go on YouTube and search it up. That's the way the world works really right now. The way, if you want to find something out, just go on YouTube and do it. So, yeah, Issa says it's a lot of money, but youngsters are now worth the bomb these days. The price tag is indeed strongly reflected upon his talent. However, that could affect him due to him receiving higher expectations. That's one of the main worries, actually, for me. And that's why I say I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to the 110 million euro price tag, is that for someone who's only 20 years old, and yes, as I said, he's proven himself on the Champions League stage, and even playing for England, he's been one of the best players going forward. I don't doubt that whatsoever. But 110 million euros at this stage of his career, it's a lot of pressure to put on him. It's a lot of pressure. And I think at Dortmund right now, he doesn't have all the pressure on him. He doesn't have, all the kind of eyes of the world looking at him. Whilst he's got a lot of the world, a lot of the eyes of people in England looking at him, because obviously he's one of our best talents. In terms of the world, he doesn't have that sort of same pressure. But as soon as that 110 million euro or whatever it is, 97 million pound price tag goes on him, it's a different story. And obviously he's played in Manchester before. He's obviously played for Manchester City Youth Academy. But to come to Manchester United and, someone pay 110 million pounds for him, or 110 million euros for him, ultimately, he's going to be expected to hit the ground running straight away. And it's not going to be easy for him. It's not going to be easy for him. And I think he's a fantastic player, and someone who would be a much welcome addition to our squad. To have Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Ighalo as well, looks like he's staying. These sort of players in our forward line with Bruno Fernandes and Pogba behind, it's delicious. It's delicious. It's very, very much something I look forward to. But ultimately, I don't know. I mean, look, I like Sancho, but I'm just worried it's a bit of a risk. That's all. Red Dorsey agrees. G agrees with Sancho. He says, "What do you think we could buy Partey, Traore, and Werner for that fee?" Yeah, exactly. Oh, when you think we could buy them? Yeah. I mean, look, that's going to be the main thing. Is that I don't need these headphones in. That's going to be the main thing, isn't it? Is that obviously with 110 million euros, you can do a lot in the market, and it's whether you do the Liverpool approach, where it's to spend a decent amount of money in the transfer window, but split it over quite a few players, or you go for the Man United of old approach, which is to splurge a lot of money on one player, and as TTX said, put all your eggs in one basket for one player. And it's a risky strategy. Obviously, Jadon Sancho is someone who looks a fantastic player, and probably more than likely would come off if he signed for Manchester United. He's got a great English contingent in there, and he's coming back to his home country, so you don't have to worry about him settling in again. So in that respect, then yeah, I think he could. There's not going to be too much trouble with him settling in and any of that sort of rubbish. But I think the problem may come with the pressures of having that price tag. And I think if you put all your eggs in one basket with Sancho, and he doesn't really pull off, he doesn't come off as you expected him to, it does feel like a bit of a waste when, as you said, you could buy a few players, like we need another midfielder and a centre-back and potentially even a winger maybe who isn't as expensive as Jadon Sancho. So, and a striker as well, because we don't really have an out-and-out striker. Rashford was very, very impressive when he first, this season, Rashford's been impressive, very impressive, but obviously he got injured, and we've seen that if we don't have backup, if we don't have, depth in our squad in that position, it hurts us. And it really did hurt us when Rashford first got injured. Because Martial, whilst he can be a very good player on his day, he's not the most consistent. He's not the most consistent player. So I think, a striker is definitely necessary. Obviously, we brought in Ighalo, and he's done a brilliant job, scored in every game that he's started so far this season. So I think Ighalo's done a very, very good job. And if Rashford comes back and can stay fit, I think Ighalo would be a very, very good backup. But it's whether you can realistically trust that, whether you can realistically, hold your hat on Marcus Rashford. And it's a difficult one to answer, that one. But yeah, I think if we do spread it around, I think that would probably be, I think it'd just be a lot more. a lot more practical to do that. But I think Sancho to Man United, the prospect of Sancho coming to Manchester United is very, very tasty. It's tasty indeed, I've got to say. But I just thought, all the kind of, news going around. Obviously, if you guys have been on Twitter, there's been the video of his Instagram live and things like that, and all this stuff when he's Instagram live with like Rashford and Jesse Lingard and Fabrizio Romano and other journalists coming out and saying that the deal's close and things like that. So I mean, it seems likely that Sancho will come to Manchester United. There's a lot of good conversation going on. There's a lot of positive conversation going on. But it's one of those transfers, like the Bruno Fernandes transfer, where I just thought it's too good to be true, really. And obviously, we did get Bruno Fernandes in the end, but it was a long slog. And I don't think this Jadon Sancho thing is going to go away. This Jadon Sancho room has been there since the summer transfer window last year. So I don't think it's going to go away. I think if we don't sign Jadon Sancho this window, I reckon we'll get him next summer. I think Jadon Sancho will come to Manchester United at some point, in my opinion. I just feel the way it's being talked about at the moment, that's how I see it. But who knows? Who knows? But as I said, if Jadon Sancho comes, I think, we have a very, very good chance of, definitely making top four next year. Or even challenging for the title. And who knows? Who knows? I think we do need more players than Jadon Sancho, but it'd be a massive, massive help. What would that mean for Daniel James, of course, who only got brought in, this summer, this summer only got brought in. And to be honest with you, I don't think Daniel James was meant to be a someone who's playing week in, week out. He wasn't meant for that. He was meant to kind of be a backup. And if, Jadon Sancho was to be brought in, maybe that would give Daniel James the optimum amount of time to develop in the background and play the amount of games that realistically he should be playing. Because whilst I do like Daniel James, I'm not saying he's a bad player at all. I just think that he wasn't brought in to play every single game this season. He was brought in to kind of, play, every other week or play in the cup games and just kind of behind the scenes start to get better and better. And then at some point we'd have a player on our hands. Now, he is a decent player already, but he has a lot of potential. It's just overusing players is a trend that we've seen this season from Solskjaer, and we've seen injuries, obviously Rashford getting the injury and Pogba, people like that. When you overuse players in situations they don't need to be used. But ultimately, it's with Daniel James, he's been able to cope with it all right. He hasn't really picked up any injuries or anything like that, luckily, of course. But if Jadon Sancho was to come in and, Jadon Sancho was to come in, maybe it would give Daniel James a bit more time to kind of, it will take the pressure off him. It would take the pressure off him a lot to perform. And it would just add another, layer to our attacking force. United Hub, thanks for joining, he says, hi mate, I've got an Instagram called _ United _ Hub _ I just made a DJ edit. I'm the All Round Podcast, by the way. Well, thanks for joining, mate. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do check that out on Instagram if you are on Instagram. Make sure you check out the Red Devil Weekly Instagram as well. I'm on there at Red Devil Weekly, so please do check it out if you haven't already. It's only 3 followers away from 100 followers, so please help me out with that. G says, Saul Niguez thoughts. Well, Saul Niguez, again, is a player that's been linked to Manchester United seemingly, every transfer window. He's always in the mix somewhere, and he's a very, very good player. No doubt about that. He's a player. Again, it comes down to the conundrum of, does Pogba stay? Does Pogba stay, and does Bruno Fernandes play alongside Paul Pogba? Because I think Saul Niguez is a sort of player who can get forward. He's got a lot of, good attacking traits. He can get forward. He can, create goals, and he can score goals as well. And that's why he's one of the, hottest, ratest, the most hotly rated. I can't even speak. The hottest. One of the most rated centre midfield players in the world, and has been for quite a while. And I think Saul Niguez, for me, would be a very, very decent signing. Again, I think it would cost us less than to bring in Jadon Sancho, but I think Saul Niguez would be a decent addition to the team. And a 3 with Pogba, Bruno, and Saul Niguez would be, unreal. Probably one of the best midfields in Europe, arguably. Whether he'd want to come to Manchester United, I'm not too sure. I think, obviously, if we don't get Champions League for next year, I think that's a definite no, especially with the way Atletico are playing. They beat Liverpool in such heroic fashion. And just the way that team plays, I think, just suits Saul Niguez. I think he's a warrior. He's someone that will fight to the very end for his team. And I think he's a Simeone player, really. And whether he would fit into this Man United team and do that for this Man United team is another question to be asked, really. And it's a hard one to answer. But for me, I think Saul Niguez wouldn't be too bad of a signing at all. I'd definitely take him. I'm not sure how old he is, actually. But I think he's about in the prime of his career. So, I mean, look, I'd be happy with it. I'd be happy with bringing Saul Niguez in. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But with that being said, I just wanted to kind of do a little video on Jadon Sancho because I haven't really done one, and I just wanted to, share my thoughts. So that was me kind of talking about Jadon Sancho. Please do leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like on the stream if you aren't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I'll be back. I will be back with more content about Manchester United. I'm trying to obviously think of different ideas to do and things like that, as we all are, as all content creators are in this time. But, I'm enjoying doing these sort of things, especially because, we are in lockdown. It's just about finding things to do. And, carrying on a hobby like this is really important for your kind of well-being and things like that. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.